which is titled Dhyana Yoga. Text number 27 this week. 27.
Are we going to do the introduction first?
Yes, correct. Good on you, Bob. So yeah, let's offer respect to the spiritual master.
Yeah.
Om Bob, would you like to read the English for that, please?
I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with a torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him.
Thank you. Okay, so now text 27 of the 6th chapter. Okay. Prashanta manasam yenam.
Prashanta manasam hainam.
Yoginam sukhamutamam.
Yoginam sukhamutanmam.
Upayati shantarajasam.
Upayati shantarajasam.
Brahma bhutamakammasam.
Brahma mutamakashanam.
Cool, Shane, you'd like to read the English, please?
Sure. The yogi whose mind is fixed in me verily attained the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realized his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is freed from all reaction to past deeds.
Nice.
So whatever the karma we done in the past, it'll be wipe out. Like if we become in yogi, in transcendental, in Krishna consciousness.
Yes, correct. All of our karma, both good and bad.
Oh, good and bad as well?
Good also, yeah. Because good is also not good. Did you know that? Good karma is also not good.
How come?
Why is good karma not good?
I don't know. Good karma must be good then.
What will happen? What will be the result of doing good karma, good deeds, good actions? Pious.
Action leads the results.
Pardon?
Action leads the results. If you do good karma, you be,
Yeah, but I'm asking what kind of results? What will be the result?
Well, Krishna will decide this, right? Like, next life you'll have some born in a devotee's family, or you will in the Krishna service, if you have a nice family or things like that.
Well, I mean, that's not good karma. I mean, getting Krishna consciousness in the next life will be because of some devotional service, which is not good karma. That's transcendental. But just plain good karma means like building hospitals, digging wells for people, feeding the poor people, all these kind of philanthropic kind of activities, welfare activities. That's called good karma. And following the rules of the scriptures, like performing some sacrifices like that. What you mentioned in the scriptures, giving charity, performing some austerities, that's good karma. So what's the result of all that good karma?
Is it anything to do with being attached to a good outcome for yourself?
Yeah, they might. Yeah, definitely. They want a good outcome, but what is the good outcome?
What I meant was
that comes from
you're
good karma?
never going to find out.
Expecting something.
Oh, you can. It's clearly stated in the Bhagavad Gita what the outcome of good karma is. I'll give you a clue.
I don't remember. Krishna?
I'm pointing. Where am I pointing?
Well, you're not doing enough. You're not doing it for Krishna.
Who lives in the roof?
The higher planets, the heavenly planets. So the result of good karma is being born in the heavenly planets. But is that good? No, because still you have to take birth there. You have to grow old there. You have to get sick there. You have to die there. So you live for a long time, but still death is there, and they have problems with the demons, the asuras attacking and so forth. There's so many anxieties there. There's still lust there, there's greed there, there's pride there and so forth. Anger is there, still within the material world. So that's not desirable also for a devotee. Of course, many people want to go to heaven, but for a devotee, that's not at all desirable, because it's still within the material world, and it can be even more difficult to practice Krishna consciousness in heaven. Why?
Not as many challenges.
Different challenges, I would say.
Different challenges.
Different challenges. But what's a possible obstacle in the heavenly planets for practicing spiritual life?
We should know this.
What about, would you say that being surrounded by super duper beautiful women, it could be an obstacle?
That's a Maya. Maya will be in this earthly planet. Is that happen in the heavenly planet too?
Heavenly planet, yeah, Maya, material energy is working from the top planet to the bottom planet, everywhere in the material world.
Maya will be the biggest obstacle.
Yeah, but Maya in what form? See, Maya manifests.
Can be,
like
she
can manifest in the
apsaras,
way of,
apsara.
yeah, apsaras, and that means like beautiful woman, and beautiful woman. So that, and fabulous wealth. These are obstacles. So it can be hard to practice Krishna consciousness in the heavenly planets. So that's actually that if we become Krishna conscious and engage in devotional service, then we get freed from the reactions of all kinds of karma, good and bad. We need to get freed not only from bad karma, which result of that is going down into the hellish planets for some time, temporarily, not forever like they say in the Bible, but just temporarily, and then taking birth in lower species like animals, taking birth in animal species and plant species and so forth. That's a result of bad karma. And good karma, you enjoy the results of your good karma in the heavenly planets that you did here for 10,000 years of the demigods. So, but that's all temporary. Whether you go to hell is temporary or go to heaven is temporary, and it's not our real life. Our real life is a loving servant of Krishna. So anything else is Maya, is illusion. Other than that, of course, I mean, you can practice Krishna consciousness in heaven, you can, and you can practice it in hell also, but there's different obstacles there. Actually, it's said that on the earth, this planetary system is very conducive to practicing Krishna consciousness. Do you know why? One of the reasons why?
Because it's such a hard life. It's
in between. It's in between. See, if you go further up, there's more sense gratification, more enjoyment. And if you go down, there's more suffering. So here's in the middle. Actually said there's 6 planetary systems above us and 7 planetary systems below us. So altogether there's 14 planetary systems in the universe. So if you go upwards, there's more sense enjoyment, and if you go downwards, there's more sense suffering. There's more distress. So both of those extremes can make it more difficult to practice Krishna consciousness. If you're enjoying too much your senses, sense gratification, that can be very difficult to practice Krishna consciousness. And if you're in too much of a miserable condition, suffering, then that can also make it very hard to practice Krishna consciousness. You can, but it's difficult, more difficult. So we're in between. You've got a little bit of happiness and a little bit of suffering, and
I think the happiness is the toughest situation to Krishna consciousness. Because
True.
when you're happy, Krishna come at the bottom of the list. When you're suffering, Krishna comes top of the list.
That can be there, but can you imagine if you were living in Ethiopia and there's like civil war going on around you? You're struggling to feed your family. I mean, 20 hours a day you're working to try to put
When
one
do you have a
meal
time
in
for
the
doing
mouth of your
chanting?
kids. Huh?
When do you have a time for chanting?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you just working to survive.
Yeah.
Such a miserable condition. And so it's very difficult, like poverty, for example. Poverty is also a result of bad karma. That when you're in a poverty-stricken condition, it's very difficult to think of God and serve God, because you're just simply worried about where is food and where is shelter and all these kind of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, you can, but it's very difficult. I mean, if you are already an advanced devotee, and then you are plunged into a miserable situation, yeah, you can maintain your Krishna consciousness. But if you're not advanced in spiritual life and you're put into a lot of traumatic conditions, then it may not be possible. Like
Abhay,
yeah.
Can I just ask this, and sorry if I'm going off track, that it reads, the yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily. I don't know what the word verily means.
It's, from my understanding, it means like sort of definitely or guaranteed.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got a dictionary here. Let's have a quick look. And while I'm looking it up in the dictionary, last week, so what we were reading was that it was about the mind, and the nature of the mind is going here and there and everywhere. So when the mind goes away from your concentration on the Lord, then you bring it back. So that's the recommendation there. Wherever the mind wanders to, you bring it back. So that's the yoga practice, is whichever yoga it is, Jnana yoga, Stanga yoga, Bhakti yoga, whatever, then when it wanders around, you've got to bring it back. That's the yoga practice, to control the mind. If you don't bring the mind under control, that's not yoga. The foundation of yoga, whichever yoga you're doing, means you have to control the mind. That's the foundation of yoga. Verily, getting close, if it's here. Verify. Well, it's verily. Well, it's such an uncommon word that Prabhupada's used that it's not even in this dictionary. It's a basic dictionary, and it's not even here. But I would say, in the context of what we're reading, it means like definitely or guaranteed.
Claire will look it up on the thesaurus.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be interesting just to confirm that.
Yeah, she won't. She's busy now, but I'll have it ready for next week. How's that?
Okay, no, that'd be good. Thanks.
That's my homework.
Okay, that's your homework. You find that out. So that's the purpose of the yogi's life, is to fix his mind on the Supreme. Of course, in this yoga system, Dhyana yoga, they'd be fixing their mind on the Paramatma, the super soul in the heart, a four-armed form of Vishnu in the heart. So that's in the heart. The super soul is in the heart of every living being. So whether you're spiritually minded or not, a yogi or not, a human or not, the super soul is always there. No living being can exist without the presence of the super soul. The super soul is essential for our life in the material world, because he's guiding us witnessing our desires and fulfilling those desires, we can have a look a little bit about the super soul. Let's see. 13th chapter, text 22. 23.
23.
Yeah. 23. 13th chapter, text 23. Someone like to read that?
Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer, who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as overseer and permitter, and who is known as the super soul.
Yeah, so there's two souls inside the body, because the previous verse is telling about us. The living entity in material nature, this follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil and among various species. So yeah, according to the association we have, we're experiencing happiness and then suffering, depending on what kind of modes of nature we're associating with. If we're in the mode of goodness, we'll be experiencing happiness. And if we're in the mode of passion and ignorance, we'll be experiencing suffering or evil, as is mentioned here. So yeah, there's us, the individual soul, and then there's the super soul in the heart. And both are seated in the heart of every species, whether it's a bird's body or a fish body or an animal body, human body, demigod body. There's those two souls there. And so we're enjoying and suffering in this material body, but the Lord is not in the same position. He's in transcendental enjoyment. The Lord is always transcendental. So even when God comes to the material world in the form of the super soul, he's still transcendental. He's always transcendental. He never becomes materially contaminated or materially conditioned. He's always enjoying. So he's not come here to enjoy the senses like us. He's come here just because he loves us. And he's, like it's mentioned here, he is the overseer, means like witness. So he's like the overseer or witness. He's witnessing our different desires, and then he's the permitter. So it means he gives the sanction. Okay, yes, Bob, you can have this, or no, Bob, you can't have it. Yes, Gulshan, you can have that desire, or no, Gulshan, you can't have it. So he's making all the arrangements for us according to our desires. If you have a desire, he may fulfill it. If you've got the credits in your account, in your karmic account, if you've got enough credit in your karmic bank account, you may get what you desire. Otherwise, you won't get it. And also, once you come to Krishna consciousness, then something a little bit different happens. Then if the devotee desires something that's not good for his spiritual life, and even if he does have enough karma to get that thing, then Krishna may not give it. So normally he doesn't interfere with the living entity's free choice. He's just simply fulfilling desires according to what people deserve. But if they come to Krishna consciousness, then he becomes a bit partial. And that's because he has special interest in the devotee. And that's normal, because the devotee has special interest in the Lord. So the Lord reciprocates perfectly with that devotee. Krishna says, oh, you're trying to love me, so yeah, I'll love you, and I'll protect you from falling down due to your desires and so forth. So that's the Lord's position in the material world. He's directing us. Have you ever wondered, like you've heard how some birds, they take birth in a country and they'll fly to some place they've never been before. What do they call that? Like migration. Migration.
Yep.
Yeah. So, and it's amazing. They've never been there in their life and they know which direction to go, and they've just got enough energy and strength to reach that place. If it wasn't there, that island or whatever, then they would just, fall out of the sky. But they just have, go in the right direction and the right amount of energy and everything like that. And how does that work?
Amazing.
Yeah, that's the super soul. He's guiding even the birds, saying, you fly this way, or you fly this way, so that, and saying, and within their heart, prompting them, okay, now it's time. You all have to get up and fly for the mating season over on this island or whatever like that. So we call that, what do we call that? Instinct, right? Natural instinct. But what is that? We don't really know what it means, is it? We call it instinct or intuitive. That was very intuitive, or that was instinctive.
Innate. Do they call it? You could call it innate.
Innate, yeah.
Innate.
So, deep within us, sort of, it just comes out, these ideas. But we actually know what that is. What is the source of that instinct, that those innate directions or whatever like that? That's the super soul. That's God in our heart, who's, like it's saying here, he's directing us. He's directing all the living entities. There's another verse, 18th chapter, text 50. 18th chapter.
18 you said?
Yeah, 18th chapter.
50.
Let's try, it's around the mid-50s. 54. No, not 54. 60, 61. Yeah, 61. 61. This verse.
Under illusion, you are now declining to.
No. 61. So 18th
61.
chapter,
The
61.
Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart. O Arjuna, is directing the wandering of all living entities who are seated as on a machine and made of material energy.
So there you have it, straight from Krishna, that he's seated in everyone's heart, that he's talking about his feature as the super soul. Of course, Krishna is not in everyone's heart, but he's talking about his feature as the super soul. And there's no real difference between the super soul and Krishna. It's another feature of God. So he's saying in this feature as the super soul, he's in everyone's heart. And what is he doing there? He's directing the wanderings of all living entities. So that means even your birds, even the ants. How the hell did the ants know where the bloody sugar is? Because it's the Krishna in their heart is saying, hey, there's some sugar on top of Gulshan's table. Why don't you go in and get it? So it's amazing. Have you ever thought about that? How do the ants know where the sugar is?
I'm always amazed by the way the turtles come out of the sand and go straight to the water.
Yeah.
Right. Yes.
The baby turtles.
Yeah. The hatch.
So they've just been born and already they know which way to go.
Yep.
And that's because of the super soul. That's because Krishna's in the heart. So this is what the yogis are meditating on, like in this chapter, Jnana Yoga. They're meditating on the super soul, who's the enjoyer, the director, the friend of all living entities. He's such a wonderful friend that he stays with us in every life. Do you know anyone else other than God who always stays with us through thick and thin, through whatever happens, life after life?
No one.
what do you say, you know, that, oh, my dear wife, if I go to hell in my next life due to whatever bad karma I've done, will you come with me? What are they going to say?
No.
No way, forget it. But Krishna comes with us. You know, the super soul comes with us even to hell. And the super soul doesn't suffer there, but it's still very kind for the super soul to come with us. And imagine we take the body of a pig or a dog or something very low life, and Krishna comes with us. You know, that's just because of he loves us. He's such a dear friend. So he's so kind.
So Krishna was in the Hitler as well.
Yes, of course. Of course.
And then, okay, how did he dictate that to do these things? Evil thing.
Well, like I say, ordinarily, unless you're a devotee, he doesn't interfere.
Okay.
If you have a desire, he'll just fulfill that desire as long as you have the karmic bank account. So obviously Hitler had some karmic bank account to fulfill some of his desires. Of course, not all of his desires were fulfilled. Like, he didn't win the Second World War, did he? So he lost that one. So it wasn't that much good karma, but enough good karma to, you know, shake a few people up like that. So yeah, he doesn't interfere. So otherwise, I mean, why we could say, why does Krishna sanction people to slaughter all the animals in the slaughterhouse? Oh my God, does he want that to happen? No, of course he doesn't want it to happen, but the living entity wants to do that, so he just fulfills their desire. But of course they have to suffer the consequences of their desires later on. So, you know, when they die, they may take birth as an animal and themselves be slaughtered again and again. So, you know, they're going to be punished for that, but they're given some freedom to fulfill their desires, to experience whatever they want to experience. And that's the way the material world's set up. Why are we in the material world? Because we have material desires and we want to experience certain things. So God gives us an opportunity in this material world, gives us the body to fulfill particular desires. Okay, I have a desire to fly. Okay, so God gives you the body of a bird. I have a desire to swim in the ocean. Okay, God gives you the body of a fish. I have a desire to have lots of sex. Okay, God gives you the body of a pigeon or a pig or whatever like that. I desire to, you know, to eat anything and everything. Okay, get the body of a pig like that, a dog like that. So depending on what your desires are, then you're given the appropriate body and to fulfill those desires. And God doesn't interfere. Of course, he wants us all to go back to Godhead, to get liberated, but he's not going to interfere. He's not going to interfere with our free will like that. So yeah, getting back to what we're talking about. So yeah, the yogi, this jnana yogi, Astanga yogi, he meditates on the super soul, and the Bhakti yogi, he meditates on Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Bhagavan. So different objects there. But this is what the verse is saying today. The yogis whose mind is fixed on me. So yeah, some yogis' mind's fixed on the super soul, some's fixed on Bhagavan, which is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And if you do that, what's the result? So verily, which Bob is going to give us the exact meaning of that word next week, but I think it means, like, you know, definitely or guaranteed, attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness, which means ultimately he's going to get liberated. So at the end of this life, the yogi is going to get liberated and go to the spiritual world. And in the meantime, while the body is still alive, he's experiencing so much happiness because he's connecting with the Lord in the heart. So he's developing his relationship with God. And we looked at that verse last week, which talks about transcendental happiness. We can do it again. Huh? Verily. Oh, Gianty just looked it up.
Yeah, what is it?
It means in truth.
Intrude.
And certainly.
Okay.
So
In truth, did you say?
In truth.
In truth.
In truth. And certainly.
And certainly. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I mean, this is you know, the fact, the truth that if you fix your mind on God, then you're going to be perfectly happy, you know, completely happy, transcendental happiness, go back to Godhead. So this is not, oh, maybe, it's not maybe you'll go back to Godhead, could be like that, I believe, it's my belief, you know, you believe something different, I believe something different. It's nothing about what you believe or maybe or anything. This is the absolute truth. These are the facts. If you think about God, you go to God. Let's look at a verse which talks about depending on what you think about is going to affect where you go. So, where's that one? 9th chapter, text 27. Let's try around there. 9th chapter, text 20.
9:27.
Hang on, 25.
9:25.
Yeah.
Yeah, those who worship the demigod will birth among the demigod. Those who worship the ancestors, ghosts to ancestor, those who worship ghosts and the spirit will take a birth among such being, and those who worship me will definitely live with me. It's definitely, I just added up.
You put the definitely in. Yeah, so this is a fact. So depending on, you know, what you're thinking about and who you're meditating on, who you're worshipping, that's going to be where you go. If you're worshipping, thinking about demigods, you'll go to where the demigods are. If you're thinking and worshipping ancestors, you'll go to them. If you're doing that for ghosts, you'll go to where the ghosts live. And if you worship Krishna, think of Krishna, you're going to...
Who worship ghosts? You know, who wants to
There's
be...
many people. There's many
Really?
people that do.
Yes,
They
like...
go to like graveyards and do a whole worship in the graveyard, or they go to some ghosts in a tree.
What for?
So they'll worship the ghost in the tree. And you know, this is called tantric. You know, the
Tantric, yes,
idea is
yes,
to
I
get
know
some
tantric,
powers.
yeah.
They want to get some power because ghosts can have, you know, some special abilities to control people.
But they are also under the Krishna anyway.
Well,
Everything
they
is
are
under
under Krishna,
Krishna.
but see, people that worship ghosts, they're in the mode of ignorance. So people that worship the demigods, they're in the mode of goodness.
Yeah.
Ancestors, maybe in the mode of passion. Worshipping ghosts, that's in the mode of ignorance. And, you know, worshipping Krishna, that's transcendental. So people are in different modes. People are in different modes. And okay, let's look another one. We're thinking of Krishna. You go to Krishna. So that
before we go there,
Yeah.
we go there,
Where you go into Krishna?
Yeah.
Before you go there.
Yeah, before you go, you said if they worship the ancestors, they'll go with the ancestors. Now, my question is, wouldn't the ancestors be reincarnated? So you're talking about you'd come back to this material world where your ancestors are?
Yes, the ancestors will be in the material world unless they were devotees. Yeah.
Okay.
But generally, the ancestors will be in the material world.
Yep. Got it.
And in Indian culture, in Vedic culture, there's different kinds of worship recommended for the ancestors. And that's for the benefit of the ancestors, because when we die, of course, you know, most of us have done some bad karma, so we might go to a not such a good place, you know, some hellish place, you know. So what's recommended in the Vedas is that you do some worship for the benefit of the ancestors so that they will be elevated to a better place. So after, like, for example, after the father died, it's the son's responsibility in Vedic culture to do a particular worship. And that is the worship of Vishnu. So some food will be offered to Vishnu. And when it's offered to Vishnu, it's called prasadam, to Krishna or Vishnu. And that prasadam is offered to the ancestor. So a picture of the father will be put there in the temple, a picture of the father. And the prasadam will be put in front of them. And it's said that the prasadam goes to the ancestor. And say the ancestor has fallen into some hellish place, then when the ancestor gets the prasadam, that will purify him of those sins, and he'll be elevated to a place where the pious ancestors go, where the pious ancestors live. That's called Pitriloka. So within the universe, there's one planet where the pious ancestors live. That's called Pitriloka. That's a very heavenly place, a very nice place. And they live there for as long as their descendants are offering them the results of sacrifice. So if you keep doing it for your whole life.
That's why we do a Shraddha.
Yeah, Shraddha. So that's called Shraddha or Pinda,
Yeah.
Shraddha. So these are different sacrifices recommended for the benefit of the ancestors. So yeah, if you worship the ancestors, like this verse was saying, then you'll go to that Pitriloka place. You'll go to that heavenly planet called Pitriloka, where your father is and grandfather is, or whatever like that. But that's only if they've been offered sacrifice. That's only if they've been offered sacrifices, then that's where they'll be. Otherwise, they could be in some horrible place like that. So, okay, let's look more verses about thinking of Krishna. Then you're going to be going to Krishna and experiencing transcendental happiness, which is what this verse is saying. So 18th chapter, text 66.
18, sorry.
66.
66.
Yeah, no, 65, sorry. 18th chapter, 65.
Always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. Thus you will come to me without fail. I promise you this because you are my very, very dear friend.
Another very there.
Yes.
So this is like verily. So in truth, because Krishna says here, without fail. So that means this is the fact. This is the truth.
And then
And
one of
says,
the
I
verse,
promise.
Krishna says that to Arjuna, just say that because my devotee never get expired. He said,
Will
Arjuna,
never perish. Will
yeah,
never
never
perish.
perish. He didn't say that, but he said to Arjuna, you declare it.
Yeah, because Krishna always keeps the word of his
Wishy-washy.
devotees. Yeah, he's always keeps the word of his devotees.
Right.
So this is another one saying that if you think of Krishna and you worship Krishna, then you're gonna go to Krishna without any doubt, without fail. He promises this because you become very dear to Krishna. So yeah, thinking of God is very powerful. If you think of God, you're going to go to God. If you think of God, you're going to go to God. If you become a devotee of God, you're going to go to God. If you worship him, you're going to go to him. And homage means to offer obeisances, offer respect. That's what homage means. It's an old word, but it means to offer respect. Like, so if you bow down, if you go to the temple, you bow down to God. So this is a good practice. This is what someone who's surrendered to God will bow down to God. Even like the Muslims, right? 5 times a day they bow down to Allah. Their namaz. Nama means respect, so they're offering respect, and bowing down. God is very great, we're very small, so we bow down to him. So these are all things that make you very dear to the Lord. If you think of the Lord, if you become his devotee, if you worship him and offer respect to him, then you become very dear to him. So, and then he's going to look after you. He's going to take you back to Godhead. Okay, we'll do one more, thinking about the Lord. 8th chapter, 8th chapter text, round 15, is it? No. No, 5. 8th chapter text. Yeah, 5. 8th chapter, text 5.
Yep. And whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attain my nature. Of this there is no doubt about it.
Yeah, so this is verily again. This is no doubt about it. This is in truth. If you remember God at the end of life, means death, when you're dying, then you're definitely going to go to the transcendental world, go to the spiritual world. And the next verse says, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So that applies to everything. If you think of God when you die, you'll go to God. If you think about a dog when you die, you're going to
Become a dog.
dog. If you think of a woman when you die, you're going to
be a woman.
A woman. If you think of a man when you die, you're going to become a man. Like that. So whatever you think of when you die, that's a very important time. You know what you're thinking of.
If
That
your entire life you are remembering Krishna and doing chanting and service, more likely end of the life you do remember Krishna.
Yeah,
This is
that's
the
the idea.
preparation for the last day.
Yeah, that's the idea. If you're practicing your whole life while you're healthy to remember Krishna, there's a good chance that you remember him when you die. If you're thinking about money and women your whole life,
He's not gonna be
it's
Krishna.
not so easy to think of Krishna when you die. I mean, maybe, but not guaranteed. But
Whatever you do in entire life, that's the flashback comes at a time of the death, and that's what
usually, yeah, usually. So
I haven't experienced it, so I don't know.
no, that's what the scriptures say, and that's just logical.
Yes.
Practice makes perfect. So yeah, so thinking is very important. If you think about God, then you're going to go to God, and that's what today's verse is saying. If you think of God, you're going to go to God. And oh yeah, we were saying about transcendental happiness. So we can look at that one too. What does it mean, transcendental happiness? Let's have a look at that one. Just look where it is. Fifth chapter, text 21. We read this last week too with Dulshan. Fifth chapter, text
Bear
21.
with me, 521.
Yeah, 521.
Close.
Bob, you read this one?
Yeah, I'm nearly there. Sorry.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Such liberated persons are not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the supreme.
Yeah, so this is transcendental happiness, which is unlimited. Transcendental happiness is spiritual happiness, is unlimited, has no beginning and no end. And where does that happiness come from? From concentrating on the Supreme. So by thinking about the Supreme, thinking about God. See, what is the nature of God? What is the nature of God? It's called Sat Chit Ananda. You should remember this.
Yeah, Chit is mind.
Yeah, Chit is the mind, also means, you know, consciousness. Yeah. So the mind, consciousness. Yeah.
Chit Ananda.
Knowledge or consciousness. It's Sat. What does Sat mean?
True.
It means truth, and it also means eternal. So the nature of God is Sat, which is eternal, Chit, which is full of consciousness, and Ananda, bliss. So the nature of God is bliss. If you think about bliss, which is God, if you think about God, which is bliss, then what are you going to experience?
Bliss.
Bliss. Yeah. If I think about the material body, then how will I feel?
Aches and pains,
Aches and
trouble,
pains. Because
empty pockets.
the body's full of misery, except for Bob's, because he's so fit from all of his exercises.
What do you say? He's so fat. What do you say?
And see, the nature of the body is suffering. So if you think about the body, either our body or someone else's body, then you're going to be miserable. So the secret is to think about Krishna, because Krishna's body is full of bliss. Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes, Krishna's form, it's all bliss. Krishna's names are full of bliss. His pastimes are full of bliss. His form is full of bliss. So if you think about any of those things related to God, you're going to be full of bliss. And that unlimited bliss, it just gets better and better and more and more. And that's why I said, you know, we have people that are here on the planet today that saw tears coming out of Prabhupada's eyes sideways like a water pistol. You know, that's unlimited. You can't, well, what kind of happiness is that you cry like that? That's unlimited happiness, you know. Because why? Because he's concentrating on the Supreme. One time he was singing a song about Krishna's pastimes, which he would regularly sing before a class. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. And mid-sentence, midway in a sentence, he just becomes stunned. He just stopped in the middle of a sentence.
Lost words.
And tears started to come out of his eyes sideways. The people that were sitting in front of him got wet. Can you imagine?
Wow, that
The people
many
that were
tears.
sitting in front of him got wet.
Wow, that's bliss. That is bliss.
He could become completely stunned. He couldn't say anything. His body just shut down. And tears just shot out of his eyes. And then it's like the heavens opened up. And just buckets of nectar fell on the body of everyone in the room. Not just the people that got showered by his tears. But it's literally like hundreds of people experienced at the same time. That they all became overwhelmed by transcendental happiness. And they were just all crying and experiencing bliss. It was an amazing experience. And Prabhupada just caused, you know, the bliss of the spiritual world just to descend on everyone there. So that's the result, you know, if you really concentrate, but you have to concentrate, like it's saying in this verse, you have to concentrate on the Supreme. You know, it means your full attention. You have to give your full attention if you concentrate. And that's the last stage of this chapter here, Astanga Yoga. You know, Astanga, Asta means 8, Anga means part. So the last one is called Samadhi, which means trance. So that, once again, full concentration. For them, it's fully concentrating on the super soul. It's fully. Not like what the previous verse, what we were reading in this section, when the mind is going here and there. If the mind is going here and there, you're not going to get that experience. You have to be fully concentrated. You can't be thinking a bit about the material world and a bit about God and a bit about the material world and a bit about God. And that's not going to give you the full result. But if you just forget all about the material world and just fully focus on God, then you're like connected with the powerhouse. At that point, you know, you're like plugged in. You're connected with the powerhouse. You're connected with the powerhouse, and you know, full power there. It's amazing. So we all may have little glimpses of that sometimes. I don't know, maybe sometimes like we used to have the Friday night kirtans, or sometimes at the temple. You know, sometimes even for a few moments, you may have a very special experience. I know Gail told me sometimes she had very special experiences during the Friday night kirtan, just for a few moments sometimes. But it doesn't that doesn't diminish it at all. That you know, if you can somehow or other connect with the source, if you can connect with the Supreme, then you can get a very special experience of happiness. You know, far beyond. I mean, I've had some experiences also which completely amazing. And that's why I'm probably stuck with it for all these years, because I had some special experience, and now what am I thinking? I want it again. I want that. I want more of that. You know, because it's so good, and you just want more of it. It's just so. It's such an amazing experience, and it leaves everything else for dead. It leaves any other, you know, material sense gratification as like insignificant. Once you've experienced that, a little taste of that transcendental happiness, then it makes you really want it more, which is good, which is good to have that. But we all have had some good experiences, and that's why, you know, that's why you put aside some time on your Thursdays, right? Or why you chant, and you know why you want to hear about Krishna, because you've had some very good feelings, haven't you?
Of course.
Yeah. So that's a little taste, you know, that's a little taste, but there's an ocean of happiness out there, an ocean of happiness, transcendental happiness, and we're just getting a few drops here and there, and that we're thinking, well, this one drop I just got, well, it's pretty good. But I mean, there's a whole ocean of happiness there, and yeah, so that makes us want to go on more and more. We want to go on more and more, and eventually we can dive deep in the ocean of transcendental happiness, which is of loving God, of loving Krishna. That's the real happiness, which is in love. If we have that spiritual love for God, that's the real happiness. That's completely satisfying us. Okay, so our verse, once again, I keep moving pages. So yeah, that transcendental happiness. So he is beyond the mode of passion. He is beyond the mode of passion. I was just looking the word for word for the verse, Upaiti Shanta Rajasam, which Prabhupada translates, his passion is pacified. That's so nice, because Rajasam means passion and Shanta means peace. So that's wonderful. You know, if you think about God and connect with God, then all this passion becomes just at peace. Wouldn't that be so nice? Who wants peace?
Oh yeah.
And what does it mean, passion? What is it saying? Peace. Peace from the passion. Passion means desires. That's what passion is. Rajas means desires, material desires. That's what passion is. There's lots of material desires. When it's talking about passion, the mode of passion, it means lots of material desires, one after another. One desire, you have a desire for $1,000, and is it going to stop there? No.
Of course
Desire
not.
$10,000. Is it going to stop? 100,000, a million, 10 million, 100 million, a billion. I want to become Bill Gates. You know, it's never ending. These desires. This is rajas. This is passion. Oh, you have one woman. Is it going to stop there? No. Then you want another one and another one, another one, or at
That's
the same
true. The
time.
government put the rule that one at a time. You have to divorce and then marry second one. You can't have it.
But even though, you know, a man may have one wife, but if he's overcome by the mode of passion, then he wants more. But I mean, externally, he's not allowed by law, but that doesn't mean he's not thinking about it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's never ending. You know, once the passion is there, these material desires is unlimited could be related to desires for food, desires for sex, desires for money, desires for cars, buildings, any phones, anything, all kinds of desires. What's that?
Success.
Power, fame, whatever, victory, all that kind of honor, respect. That's a big one, actually. Desires for respect. We want people to respect us.
Position.
People to position.
They hold on to that. They don't want to let the position go. They can do anything. It doesn't let the position go.
But that's because also that if we have the position, then we think people are going to respect us more.
Yeah.
Or if I'm the manager, people will respect me more. If I'm the leader, if I'm the guru, that can even affect us even when we come into spiritual life. Or if I become a guru, people will respect me more. People will worship me and respect.
Even the color of the clothes as well. If I'm on the orange, yes.
Yeah, if I wear the orange clothes, people will respect me more than if I wear white clothes, like the householder wears white, like that. So yeah, these are very deep-rooted things, this passion. But it's saying here, if you focus your mind on God and if you concentrate on God, then all this passion, all these desires will become pacified, will become at peace. The passion will go down, which is a wonderful thing, because this is what bothers us. This is what's constantly bothering us, is being bombarded by so many desires. It creates so much anxiety, all these desires. And we can look at it in the 16th chapter. And the effect here of the mode of passion and so many desires. Just trying to pinpoint where it is exactly.
It's a 13 to 15.
Oh yeah, good one. Well done. Yep.
The demonic person thinks that so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain more according to my scheme. So such in a mind now, and will increase in the future more and more. He's my enemy, and I have to kill him, and my other enemy will also be killed. I'm the Lord of everything. I'm the enjoyer. I'm the perfect, powerful, and happy. I'm the richest man, surrounded by the aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifice. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice. In this way, such persons are deluded by ignorance.
Okay, Bob, do you want to read the next one?
Yep. Bear with me.
Next verse.
Okay. Where it says, thus perplexed.
Yeah.
Thus perplexed by various anxieties and bound by the network of illusions, they become so strongly attached to sense enjoyment and fall down into hell.
Yeah, so this is the effect of being bashed around by passion. So many desires, as mentioned, is 13 to 15. And then what's the result of having so many desires? So much anxiety, so much anxiety. And then you get completely tangled up in illusion. So much anxiety, entangled in illusion, and then just so attached. And the result of all those desires too, you become so much attached to material things. Those things that you desire, you become very attached to them. And attached to what? Enjoying them.
And they must take up a lot of your time as well.
Oh yeah, your whole life you're running after these things. And that's why there's no chance to think about God, because you're always thinking about money and enjoying money and women and things, material things. And then what's the result of that? Being attached to sense gratification. How does it finish, the verse?
Disappointment, anger.
No, that's there. No, that's another verse talking about that. But this one you just read.
Falling down to hell.
Yeah, fall down to hell. If you're attached to sense gratification, I mean, this life becomes miserable because so many anxieties. And then what's the result? is that
Well,
you fall down into hellish life in the next life, which is obviously more anxiety. So why do we do that to ourselves? We create suffering for ourselves in this life and the next by running after material things. That's what's, if we make that the goal of our life, sense gratification, material enjoyment, then it's just going to create misery for us in this life and in the next one. So why do that? But the thing is, we're too attached to it. We can't give it up, isn't it? Like cigarettes, right? People can't give it up. Alcohol. They know it's bad for them, isn't it? Cigarettes, alcohol, they know it's bad for them, but they can't give it up. Because why? Because they're attached. But this verse we're reading today, what it's saying is that Shanta Rajasam, that all those desires become completely pushed down. You become peaceful. So Krishna takes care of them because we can't deal with it. Or see, what we have, our job is to think of God. And God's job that he takes up, he doesn't have to, but he does, is to push down all of our material desires, to make them peaceful, at peace. No more anxiety for material things. And that's cool. That's a good deal. I like that deal. If you like that deal, put your hand up.
Yeah, I like it.
Definitely.
So you don't have to think, how am I going to control all my desires and my mind's crazy and all this kind of stuff like that. Just have to concentrate on God. And we do that, of course, by Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And just doing service for the Lord, thinking about him. I'm going to make a garland for Krishna. I'm going to make a garden and grow flowers for Krishna, and whatever like that. So we're thinking about Krishna, and just by doing that, Krishna becomes pleased, and then he takes care of all those crazy material desires, and then the devotee becomes at peace. And this is the real difference between a bhakti yogi and others. That the bhakti yogi is peaceful, whereas others are not peaceful. Only the pure devotee of the Lord can only be peaceful. Nobody else. There's a verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita which says, Krishna Bhakta Niskama Ateva Shanta Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Sakali Asanta, that only the Krishna Bhakta, Krishna's devotee, Nishkam, has no desires, no material desires. Therefore, Ateva Shanta, therefore he's peaceful. He's peaceful because he doesn't have any material desires. But the next line says, Bhukti, Mukti, Siddhi, Kami, Sakali, Ashanta. Bhukti means the person desiring material enjoyment, sense gratification. Mukti means the person desiring liberation, freedom from the material world, freedom from suffering. Siddhi means the person desiring mystic perfections, like they want their body they can make their body small, they can make their body big, they can make it light as a feather. People that levitate, right?
Yeah.
That's one of the siddhis. Levitation is one of the siddhis. That's called Laghima Siddhi, where you can make your body as light as a feather. Another one's Prapti Siddhi. Have you heard about Sai Baba? He used to bring some ash on his hand and something. That's called Prapti Siddhi, where you can bring anything from anywhere. You want a pomegranate from Iran or something, it'll just pop in your hand like that. So there's 8 different perfections. It's called Asta Siddhi. But that's saying that all those 3 people, you want enjoyment in this world, sense gratification, you want to get out of this world, you want mystic perfections, all of them are not peaceful because they have desires. They're hankering for so many things. So as long as you have that passion, that material desires, what's the result of that is no peace, and never going to be any peace. But the devotee is peaceful. Why? Because he doesn't have any material desires. And how come he doesn't have any material desires? because he has spiritual desires. His spiritual desires is basically to please Krishna. Because he has spiritual desires to please Krishna, therefore that overwrites all of our material desires. There's no space for that, because his heart is desiring just to please Krishna. He doesn't have any desires for himself. And that, once again, that's love. If you love someone, you're thinking about them. You're not thinking about yourself. Like a mother, right? Is a mother thinking about herself, or is she thinking about her child?
About her children.
Think about her child. She never thinks about herself. She doesn't even have time to eat. She doesn't even have time to go to the toilet. She doesn't even have time to sleep. She doesn't give a stuff about herself. She's just thinking about her kid, her baby. And that's love. So there are no material desires in the pure devotee, because he's in love with Krishna. He's always thinking about Krishna. And that's peace. That's peace. That's how you can get peace. People say, yeah, I want peace. But it's not possible as long as your heart is full of this rajas, this passionate desires like that. So, but the only way we can conquer the desires is if we concentrate our mind on God. And then he will take care. He will take care of these desires. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Cool.
Very
Yep.
good.
I remember before I came to Krishna consciousness, I really experienced all those anxieties. I was always in anxiety. Oh my God. And not really that there was anything really bad happening in my life, but just so much anxiety in the mind, just created in our own mind. It's just whipping us, isn't it? Our mind just thrashing us around. It's so crazy, the mind. But as soon as you concentrate on God, then immediately the mind becomes peaceful. I mean, I experienced a massive difference from 1 week to the next. Where before I joined the Hare Krishnas, I was so much anxiety. And then as soon as I started the process of chanting and hearing about Krishna and doing service for Krishna, all that anxiety just went away. And that's because I wasn't thinking about myself anymore. I wasn't thinking about myself anymore. Do you know what the secret of being happy is?
No.
Forget about being happy.
Oh, okay.
As long as we're trying to be happy, we're never going to be happy. Isn't it? As long as we're trying to be happy, you're never going to be happy. And when you forget about being happy, then you become happy. So as soon as you're hankering for something that you don't have, immediately there's anxiety there, right? Let's look at that verse. There's a verse about this, 18 chapter 54. Beautiful verse.
One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realize that Supreme Brahman is and become fully joyful. He never lament or desire to have anything. He is equally disposed towards every living entity. In that state, he attained pure devotional service unto me.
So this is a spiritual platform. One's always happy because he's connecting with the Supreme. And he never laments. This is the point I wanted to make. There's two things that are always going on in our minds in material consciousness. You're either lamenting. What is lamenting about? Something you had that you lost. I had this money and I lost it. I had this woman and I lost it. I had this house and I lost it. I had this job and I lost it. I had this health and I lost it. And the other side is hankering. That hankering is about what you don't have. Lamenting is what you had and you lost.
And hankering.
And then hankering is what you never had that you want, So your mind is doing either of those two things all the time.
True difficulty for the rest of the life we're juggling.
Our whole life is
The whole entire life for
juggling
that.
those two things. Oh, I lost this. Oh, I don't have this. Oh, I lost this. Oh, I don't have this. I want it. You know, so then that makes us constantly
The
crazy.
funny thing is, people are realizing me how much I lost in the Gloria Jeans, which I don't think so, because
Yeah.
Gloria Jeans was the path coming to Hare Krishna. So I
Haribol.
didn't lose. I win. I gain. But they didn't realize this. Oh, you lost 387. I never ever think like that. They
Yeah.
always think like people. I could not believe that. I said,
Yeah.
what's that? I just earned here and just
Yeah.
give it here. I didn't
Yeah.
bring it from India, $387,000. What
Yeah.
I lost? Nothing.
Yeah. And you hit the jackpot. You hit the jackpot. You're going back
again.
to
Yeah,
body.
that's right. I come to Krishna consciousness. I can lose anything to come that to Krishna consciousness.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's so nice. Very nice.
I always used to refer back to remember what Gandhi's saying was about happiness was when your mind, your mouth, and your heart's all in the one place.
That's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
When do you have all this one place? When you are in
And
the Krishna
the
consciousness.
one place, that's what we have to know what that one place is. That's God. You know, that's
right.
fixed in God. Yeah, that's the best place. Because if you fix it on any place in the material world, that's still going to lead to disappointment, ultimately. Yeah, so today's verse, so that the Lord brings peace to all of our desires. So that's what it's saying. He's beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme. Okay. What does that mean? Don't get excited and think that, oh, I'm God. I'm God. We're all God. You know, because he's saying that, right? Realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme. Oh, I have an identity with the Supreme. I am the Supreme. No, that's not what it means. Notice what Prabhupada says there. Qualitative. It doesn't say quantitative, does it?
Qualitative.
If it said quantitative identity with the Supreme, that means you're God. But qualitative identity with the Supreme, what that means is that you have the same qualities as God, but not the same quantity of those qualities. So, I mean, like I said, Sat, God's eternal. We're also eternal, same quality. God is full of consciousness, knowledge. We're also full of consciousness, isn't it? We're conscious. Are we unconscious? No, we're conscious. We're not like a table or a chair or the bricks or something.
Or unconscious, then we got anesthetic.
Yeah.
Local anesthetic, then unconscious.
Yeah, but our natural state is consciousness.
Yeah.
And then another bliss, God's state is bliss. So it's also our nature to be happy. Otherwise, why are we searching for happiness all the time? That's actually natural because that's our normal state. It's not our normal state to be suffering, which is what we experience in the material world. But we're all of us are trying to counteract the suffering and become happy. And why is that? Because our natural state is to be blissful. So we're always searching for that, but we're looking in the wrong place. We're looking in the material world, but we should be looking in the spiritual world. So qualitatively, we are the same as God, qualitatively. However, quantitatively, we're different. God is very great and we are very small. God
is the ocean, we are drop.
Yeah, we're like a drop of the ocean. We're like a spark of the fire. You know, so we're tight. You know, the spark and the fire are exactly the same qualitatively, but not quantitatively. The drop and the ocean, the same qualitatively, but different quantitatively. You know, the sunshine and the sun planet. It's exactly the same qualitatively, but different quantitatively. You can have the sunshine comes in your room, but can you have the sun come in your room?
No.
Then there's no more room and no more us in the room, you know, so we're toast, you know, so there's a difference in quantity, but qualitatively, we're one with the Supreme. And when we realize that, that's when we become happy. Like Prabhupada, what was the first thing that Prabhupada would preach in his classes? You're not the body, you're a soul. That's realizing your qualitative identity with the Supreme. That we are the soul. We should immediately all become happy when we realize that we're not the body, we're an eternal soul. We're an eternally conscious, blissful soul. And we should become so happy with that understanding, with that realization. And that's called transcendental knowledge. That's called transcendental realization, when we understand that we're not the body, that we're the soul. Immediately we should become joyful, like that's the verse we read. Brahma Bhuta Prashanatma. On this, when we become transcendently realized, we become fully joyful. In that state, we neither lament nor hanker for anything. We become equally disposed towards every living entity, which means basically friend to everyone. We become a friend to everyone. And in that state, we attain to pure devotional service. You know, so that's the spiritual platform. Realizing that we're an eternal soul, that we're part and parcel of Krishna. And then immediately all the desires become pacified and we become happy in that relationship with Krishna. And it said there, and thus he is freed from all reactions to past deeds. So at that point, when you've surrendered your mind to God, you're always thinking about God, and you're always connected with Him. At that point, then He releases. How do you become free from all your karma, good and bad karma? That's He does that. He frees us. So this is regarded as one of the main verses in Bhagavad Gita, 18th chapter, 66. We just read 65. So this is 66. So this is known as the surrender verse of Bhagavad Gita. This is like a lot of
all varieties of religion and adjust surrounding unto me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reaction. Do not fear at all.
Yeah. So this is saying here also that He'll deliver us from all sinful reactions. So that's the same as what we read in the verse. In the verse of today, that He'll free us from all of our reactions. So we can't do that, but He can do that, because, you know, imagine you're in prison, right? It means you're pretty sinful, you've broken the law. So say you've got a life sentence because of what you did. You got a life sentence. Is there any way you can get free from that life sentence?
No. Unless judge change the order because of a very good behavior bond. Okay, instead life to become 25 years.
Yeah.
Or reduce some sentence, judge.
Yeah. Yeah. So if the authority, whether it's a judge or a king, if it's a king or a judge or, you know, prime minister or whatever like that, they have the power to change your sentence.
Yeah.
They can let you, if you've done, like Gulshan mentioned, good behavior. So like this is our good behavior, is that we're doing devotional service. We're thinking of God, we're becoming His devotee, we're worshipping Him, offering respect to Him. This is like a prisoner doing good behavior. So we're all prisoners in the material world because we've disobeyed God, we've gone against God. But if we behave in a good way, then He may let us off the hook and then release us. And he can do that. He has the complete freedom to do that. He can immediately wipe out, you know, millions of lifetimes of bad karma, good and bad karma. You know, so big stockpile is there. Because it's not only one life we've done all these things, but many, many lifetimes, millions of lifetimes, we've done so much sinful activities. But He can immediately wipe it all, the slate clean. Yeah, so okay, let's read the purport now. Bob, do you want to read the purport? Just a short purport.
Yep. Is this text 66?
No. 20.
No,
sorry.
we'll go to today's one, 6th chapter.
Today's one. Sorry.
27.
Sorry. Okay.
We've been jumping around like monkeys today.
Yeah. Sorry. Was it 27 or 28?
27.
27.
Brahma Bhuta.
Okay. The yogi whose mind is fixed on me. Is
No.
Purport.
Purport.
Purport. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. Brahma Bhuti is the state of being free from material contamination and situated in the transcendental service of the Lord. Mad Bhaktam Labhati Param. Am I close?
Perfect. Good.
One cannot remain in the quality of Brahman, the Absolute, until one's mind is fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. Savamana, Krishna Padaravindaho. To be always engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, or to remain in Krishna consciousness, is to be factually liberated from the mode of passion and all material contamination.
So yeah, this verse is talking about attaining the spiritual platform, which is called Brahma Bhuta. We actually read that verse. That's the verse that was talking about not lamenting and not hankering for anything, becoming a friend to everyone. So that was the verse Prabhupada's quoting here, 1854. Brahma Bhuta and Madbhaktam Labhate Param. So we already looked at that verse. So this is the spiritual platform where there's no material contamination. And how to get to that point is mentioned here by being situated in the transcendental service of the Lord. So if you're serving the Lord, like we were saying, by thinking about him, by doing some work for him, some service for him like that, talking about him, any kind of service, then immediately that will bring us to the point where we can transcend the modes of material nature. Transcend the modes of material nature. But it begins with the mind, like the whole chapter is talking about the mind. So that's the first thing we have to engage in the Lord's service is our mind. And then if our mind is engaged in serving the Lord, then the other things will follow. Our tongue, our eyes, our hands, our legs, our other senses. But the first sense to engage in the Lord and thinking about him is the mind. And that's what Savai Mana Krishna Padaravindayo means. That with the mind is thinking about the lotus feet of the Lord. Thinking about why does it talk about the lotus feet of the Lord? Now this is interesting and may be confusing to some people. Why are the Lord's feet compared to lotuses? Because they're very beautiful. It said the most beautiful flower of all flowers is the lotus. Has anyone seen a lotus flower? Not just a picture.
Yes.
Seen the lotus flower? Okay, we all have.
It's all on the swamp.
Yeah, it grows in a swamp, but it's very beautiful, isn't it?
Very beautiful, yes.
Sure is.
It grows in a very dirty place, but very beautiful. So like that, the material world is a dirty place too. But the devotee is like a blossoming lotus, you know. And also when the Lord comes to the material world also, he's not contaminated by the material world. The lotus is a very fascinating flower. I mean, it's not only beautiful, but if you drop water on a lotus leaf, what happens to the water?
It doesn't stay long.
It doesn't stay on it.
Repels it.
It slips off.
Yes.
So it's like that. It's growing out of the mud, but the mud doesn't touch it. The mud doesn't touch it. It's completely, it's like completely detached from that contaminated environment. So the lotus is a very interesting analogy. So the Lord's lotus feet. So that his feet are like lotuses. They're very beautiful. He's never contaminated. But why talk about particularly his feet? Why don't we say, I mean, his face is beautiful too. Why don't we say, you know, think of the lotus face of the Lord, or the lotus chest of the Lord, lotus navel of the Lord? Why keep talking about the feet of the Lord? Any idea?
Is it
Why
because
do we
we're
emphasize meditating on the feet of the Lord?
Is it because we bow down? We pay
Good,
obeisances to his
that's
feet?
nice. Yeah, it's to do with humility. You know, that the feet is the lowest part of the body, right? So we're under that. We see ourselves as under his feet. It means we're a servant. We're the servant of the Lord. It's like, if you're humble, do you go up to someone and just stare them in the eyes?
No,
No.
put the head down.
No, you have your head down.
If your head down, you can see only feet.
Do you know the story of Lakshman, right? Lakshman in the Ramayana,
Yeah.
Ram's brother. It was talking about Sita.
Yeah.
That Lakshman was living with Ram and Sita in the forest for many years, but he didn't even know what Sita looked like,
Because he only seen the feet.
because he only seen the feet. That means so much respect, that this is my brother's wife. I'm not going to look at her face or her breasts or anything like that, you know, lusting after her or anything like that. I'm her servant. So he only would look at her feet. Isn't that amazing? He'd only look at her feet. So much respect. So that's the idea, you know, that Krishna's, we serve Krishna's lotus feet. We meditate on his lotus feet. We think of his lotus feet. Means the idea is, I mean, literally that's there. I mean, you can look at his feet, think of his feet, but also that mood that we're his humble servant. We have so much respect that Krishna is a supreme person and we're his servant. And I'm just a particle of dust at his feet. That's our position, we should think. We're just the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. You understand that point? You know,
Yeah.
it means there should be so much humility there. That's the real meaning of a devotee. We should be very humble. Not only we are the servant of Krishna, but we are the servant of Krishna's servants. And this is Lord Chaitanya explained this philosophy. He didn't say that we are Krishna's, my position is Krishna's servant. He said, I am the servant of the servant of the servant of Krishna. And that's humility. So we should always be humble like that. So that's how we begin our service, is through that humility and thinking about the Lord, his lotus feet, means as a humble servant. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Sure does.
Yeah. So that's how we get free from material contamination and come to the transcendental position. It starts with thinking about the Lord by chanting his holy names, by serving the devotees. And then Krishna will take care of our material desires and pacify them. And he'll also take care of our karma, our sinful reactions, our pious reactions. So this is the process as we progress in yoga. And if we control the mind and fix the mind on the Lord will control all our material desires and free us from our sinful reactions. And that way we become completely happy. And that's the perfection of life. That's the perfection of life, to be serving the Lord and completely happy. That's our normal state of life for the soul. That's our normal existence. Be completely free. And spiritual life means complete freedom. We don't have that now during lockdowns and COVID, do we? We lost even more of our freedom. We didn't have much freedom before. Now we've even lost you know, some of that limited freedom we had, you know, so, but our normal state is to be completely free and enjoying to serve the Lord and so happy. Hare Krishna. Anyone want to say anything?
Just thank you so much. Thanks, Gilshan.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
See you next week.
See you next week.
Please stay safe, everyone.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Hare Krishna.